Have you ever wondered if giants truly walk the earth? Today, we're diving deep into a mystery almost as old as time itself, the enigma of the biblical giants, the Nephilim. These colossal beings have stirred up tales and legends, but what's their real story? Let's uncover this ancient puzzle together. The word Nephilim itself is shrouded in mystery. Translated to giants and sometimes taken to mean the fallen ones, it conjures up images of immense beings towering over the world as we know it. First up, there's the theory that the Nephilim were the result of angels mingling with human women. It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, doesn't it? But it's right there in ancient texts. The Book of Enoch, which is like an extended universe of the traditional Bible or an apocryphal text, goes deep into this. It tells us about these watchers, angels sent to earth for watching over humans. But here's the catch. They got a little too involved. They started families with human women, leading to the birth of the Nephilim. Now, why does this matter? In these texts, the Nephilim are portrayed as powerful and every bit as intimidating. And there's a sense of something not quite right about their existence. It's like they were too much of both worlds, too divine to be human, yet too human to be divine. This blend of heavenly and earthly nature made them a subject of both awe and fear. But hold on, there's another side to this story. Some argue that the Nephilim were actually descendants of Cain. Cain, as you might remember, was Adam and Eve's first son, who got a pretty bad rap for being the first murderer. This theory suggests that the Nephilim were from Cain's lineage, inheriting his more rebellious and, let's say, less than holy traits. This interpretation paints the Nephilim not as semi-divine beings, but as powerful, maybe even tyrannical, humans with a notorious lineage. So, why do these theories matter? They give us a glimpse into how ancient people tried to make sense of the world around them. Giants in their midst must be the offspring of angels or maybe the descendants of a notorious figure. These stories were their way of explaining and dealing with the unexplainable and intimidating. But here's the really interesting part. No matter which theory you lean towards, both suggest a world where the divine and the mundane were closely intertwined. In these ancient narratives, the line between human and divine was not just blurred, it was crossed and recrossed. The Nephilim, whether heavenly offspring or Cain's descendants, represented this crossover, embodying qualities that were both awe-inspiring and somewhat alarming. Now, let's step into the pages of the Book of Numbers and into the fascinating story of the Anakim, as detailed in the Book of Numbers. This narrative is not just about the physical presence of these giants, but also about the cultural and spiritual implications they had on the Israelites. The Anakim, according to biblical accounts, were descendants of a man named Anak. This lineage included three notable sons, Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai. Their formidable presence, especially in the southern region of Canaan near Hebron, posed a significant challenge to the Israelites during their conquest of the Promised Land under Joshua's leadership. It's interesting to note that the city of Hebron was earlier known as Kiriath Arba, named after Arba, who was considered the greatest man among the Anakim. The connection between the Anakim and the Nephilim, another group of giants mentioned in the Bible, is intriguing yet complex. The spies sent by Moses to Canaan reported seeing the descendants of the Nephilim, specifically referring to the sons of Anak. This report, according to some interpretations, may have been exaggerated by the spies to emphasize the formidable nature of their adversaries. However, the biblical text does suggest a link between the Anakim and the Nephilim, indicating a lineage of extraordinary size and strength. Another important aspect of the Anakim's narrative is their association with war and conflict. The Anakim were known for their warlike nature, often causing trouble for the Israelites and other peoples. Their presence in the land of Canaan was seen as a direct challenge to the Israelites' claim to the land, as promised by God. This conflict eventually led to the Anakim being driven out of most of their strongholds, except for a few cities like Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod, by Joshua and Caleb. The significance of these cities is underscored by their mention in later biblical narratives, particularly the story of Goliath, who hailed from Gath and is speculated to have been a descendant of the Anakim. The story of the Anakim in the Book of Numbers is not just a tale of physical battles and conquests. It also represents a spiritual and cultural clash. The Israelites' encounter with the Anakim symbolizes the challenges they faced in adhering to their faith and the promises of God in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. The Anakim, with their intimidating stature and reputation, were not merely physical giants. They represented the spiritual and cultural giants that the Israelites had to overcome to establish themselves in the Promised Land. But the Anakim weren't the only giants. There were the other giant tribes of the Rephaim, Zamzummim, and Emim, each with their own lore and legends. The Rephaim appear in various biblical passages, like Genesis 15 verses 20. They were considered mighty and were associated with Og, the king of Bashan. The Bible suggests that Og was one of the last survivors of the Rephaim, and his bed was notably large, over 13 feet long, indicating his giant size as seen in Deuteronomy 3 verses 11. The Rephaim were also known as Emim by the Moabites and Zamzummim by the Ammonites, reflecting their fearsome reputation. The word Emim in Hebrew is derived from Ima, which means terror or fear, indicating how the Moabites viewed the Rephaim. The Ammonites named them Zamzummim, which comes from the Hebrew word zimzum, meaning buzz or hum. This name was likely used due to the characteristic noise associated with these giants, echoing ancient beliefs about the noise made by the spirits of the dead, as found in the book of Isaiah. The biblical accounts of these tribes are not just descriptions of physical beings. They are also steeped in the spiritual and cultural contexts of the time. For instance, the Rephaim are also considered in some interpretations to be residents of the netherworld, playing a significant role in the cult of the dead. This dual representation as both physical giants and spiritual beings underscores their importance in ancient Near Eastern beliefs and the biblical narrative. Moreover, these tribes are linked to the broader history of the region. For instance, ancient inscriptions found in the Transjordan, which have not yet been deciphered, could potentially offer more insights into these mysterious tribes. In a tale of giants, heroes will undoubtedly emerge, from Joshua and Caleb, King David, and David's mighty men, like Sibbechai and Abishai. I will go into the stories of these mighty men of David in a later video. Let's talk about Joshua, Caleb, and the Promised Land. Caleb and Joshua, as figures in the Hebrew Bible, stand out for their unwavering faith and courage. Let's delve into the details of their story, particularly focusing on Caleb's role and the broader context of their mission. Caleb, one of the spies sent by Moses to explore Canaan, demonstrated remarkable faith. Unlike most of his contemporaries who were overwhelmed by the challenges they perceived in the land, Caleb firmly believed in God's promise and urged the Israelites to proceed immediately to conquer the land. His steadfast faith was rewarded. God promised that he and his descendants would possess the land of Canaan. Years later, as part of Joshua's campaign to conquer and distribute the land of Canaan among the tribes of Israel, Caleb's role becomes even more significant. When it was time to allot the land west of the Jordan, Joshua first attended to the tribe of Judah, of which Caleb was a notable member. Caleb requested the hill country of Hebron, an area known for its daunting challenges, including the presence of the Anakim, a race of giants. This request by Caleb was not only an act of bravery, but also a demonstration of his unyielding faith in God's promise. His request was granted by Joshua, marking an important phase in the Israelites' establishment in the Promised Land. Caleb's request for Hebron is significant for several reasons. First, it shows his continued strength and confidence, even at an advanced age. He was as capable at the time of the conquest as he was when he first spied out the land. Second, it illustrates his leadership within the tribe of Judah, the tribe from which the promised ruler of Israel would emerge. Finally, his choice of Hebron, a place with fortified cities and giants, underscores his trust in God's power over seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Traditional Jewish accounts and other interpretations further enrich Caleb's character. They portray him as a man of great spiritual depth, committed to the Lord and to Moses, and as someone who was fearless in the face of danger. These accounts also suggest that Caleb's influence extended beyond the military sphere into the moral and spiritual realms. further solidifying his role as a key figure in the biblical narrative of the conquest of Canaan. Caleb's story, interwoven with that of Joshua, is more than just a tale of military conquest. It's a narrative about faith, courage, and the fulfillment of divine promises. And who can forget the iconic clash of David and Goliath? The story of David and Goliath, as recounted in 1 Samuel 17 of the Bible, is a dramatic and powerful narrative that has captured the imagination of readers for centuries. This account details the confrontation between David, a young shepherd and future king of Israel, and Goliath, a giant Philistine warrior. The Philistine army had gathered for war against Israel, setting the stage for this iconic battle. David, at the time, was the youngest of Jesse's 8 sons, and his primary occupation was tending to his family's flock. However, his life took a significant turn when he visited the battlefield to deliver food to his brothers, who were fighting in the Israelite army. Upon his arrival, David witnessed Goliath issuing a challenge to the Israelite army, mocking them and defying the God of Israel. For 40 days, Goliath continued this challenge, but no Israelite soldier dared to face him. David, observing the situation and filled with faith in God, expressed his willingness to fight Goliath. King Saul and the Israelites were hesitant about David's capabilities, given his youth and inexperience. However, David insisted, drawing confidence from his past experiences of protecting his flock from predators like lions and bears. He believed that the same God who delivered him from these dangers would also deliver him from Goliath. Refusing to wear the traditional armor offered by Saul, David instead chose to confront Goliath with his sling and 5 smooth stones he picked from a creek. The battle ensued, and David successfully struck Goliath on the forehead with a stone, causing the giant to fall. David then used Goliath's sword to decapitate him, leading to a victory for the Israelites as the Philistines fled in terror. The story of David and Goliath is more than a historical account. It holds deep symbolic meaning. It exemplifies the triumph of faith and courage over seemingly insurmountable odds. David's victory over Goliath demonstrates that with faith in God, even the most formidable challenges can be overcome. So, as we close this chapter, I urge you to explore these stories further. Dive into the Bible, engage with its lore, and let these tales of giants, faith, and courage inspire you. What do you think? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, please like and subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time.